Managing your inventory in Guild Wars 2 can kind of feel like a game mode all by itself. It doesn't take very long before your inventory is so crowded that you don't even know where to begin. And I'm especially guilty of this because I'm a bit of a hoarder. Like, if you ever need a cable for anything that you still have sitting around, I am your guy. But even I have managed to figure out a system. This might seem like a lot up front, but just stick with me because once you get the process down, it's actually pretty quick.
First, let's take a look at your bags. Free accounts will have a total of 3 bag slots and paid accounts will have 5. You can also buy more from the gem store. You should be running at least 15 slot bags. You can pick these up cheap from the trading post, as well as 18 slot and 20 slot bags. They just cost more. You can also obtain 32 slot bags, but they take effort, and this video is not about effort. One more thing before we get into it. We'll be talking a lot about item rarity in this video. Rarity is depicted by the border and name color of the item. Gray is junk, black is basic, blue is fine, green is masterwork, yellow is rare, this orange gold color is exotic, pink is ascended, and purple is legendary. For this video, we'll mostly be focusing on blues, greens, and yellows, and most people just refer to them by color. The majority of inventory management in Guild Wars 2 comes from salvaging all of the gear you get but don't want, so a large chunk of this is just about optimizing that process. I highly recommend picking up a copper-fed Salvage-O-Matic from the gem store. It is arguably one of the best quality of life purchases you can make with gems. This is an infinite use basic salvage kit and it costs 3 copper per use. That is slightly cheaper than buying basic kits all the time, but the big selling point here is to never have to worry about running out and buying them ever again. Again, our goal is ease and efficiency. Speaking of which, put it in a shared inventory slot so you can use it on your alts too. You'll also want at least 1 stack of a Master's Salvage Kit at all times. That's the yellow one. We'll basically be using the copper-fed Salvage-O-Matic on blue and green items and your yellow kits on yellow items. And sometimes gold items. Don't worry, we'll come back to this. I don't recommend using a silver-fed Salvage-O-Matic because the cost per use is just way too high for junk, and even for rares and exotics, there are way cheaper methods. It is also, at the time of this video, often more profitable to just sell greens on the trading post and salvage the rest. But it does break up the process a bit, and the difference is pretty close, so I leave that up to you. Again, the point of this video is to focus on speed and expediency, not just maximizing profit. What I like to do is stick with the copper-fed version for blues and greens and use a Mystic Salvage Kit for yellows and golds. This is one of the easiest things you can make in the Mystic Forge. Seriously, just look in your bank and see if you have at least 3 Mystic Forge Stones, and if you do, this will take you 5 minutes to make. It's just 3 Mystic Forge Stones plus a full stack of each regular salvage kit. Hell, you can even buy the salvage kits from various karma merchants if you really want to be cheap. And despite only putting in a total of 75 charges worth of salvage kits, you get back a Mystic Salvage Kit with 250 charges, worth every penny. Now that we have the tools we need, here's the process I actually go through in order to clean up my inventory for maximum profit with minimum effort. Step 1. Open any loot bags, satchels, chests, etc. You can type O space O as in to open in the search box at the top of your inventory to see almost all of these at once. Then just double click on them or right click and open all in order to make quick work of them. At this point, it's a good idea to look through your inventory for anything you actually do want to keep. Exotic or ascended gear, any super rare collection items, materials, that sort of thing. Set them aside or even bank them if you do so you don't accidentally nuke them. Step 2. Unpack any unidentified equipment stacks you might have. You can also open these in bulk by right clicking them. We're going to be salvaging almost all of the contents, so don't worry when you see your inventory fill up with junk armor. If you don't have much space, you can open these manually by double clicking them, then salvage them manually to work your way through. You can salvage unidentified gear stacks without unpacking them first, but pretty much everyone agrees it's more profitable to open them first and it's only 1 step. I only do this if I have a very full inventory, stacks that are way too big, and I don't feel like wasting a bunch of time clicking. As I mentioned earlier, it is currently more profitable to simply sell stacks of some of these, so if you choose to do that, you'll just need to adjust your workflow accordingly. Step 3. Right-click your copper-fed Salvage-O-Matic or equivalent and select Salvage All Masterwork and Lower, and give it a moment to burn through all this trash. Step 4. Right-click your Masters or Mystic Salvage Kit and select Salvage All Rares. We're mostly looking for globs of ectoplasm, which have a high chance of salvaging from rare or higher items. You'll also often get some upgrade components, which are usually valuable too. Step 5. Now, if you're trying to salvage materials for crafting, especially ectos, go ahead and deposit them into your material storage, which you can do by right-clicking them. You can also click this button in your inventory window to deposit all of them to your bank's material storage at once. Oh, and if you don't need to save it, I just consume Essences of Luck since they contribute to your magic find percentage. Otherwise, open up the trading post and let's start selling some stuff. Step 6. I usually sell ectos first, and while I'm here, take a look at the sell price on any exotics you aren't keeping. If the price is higher than Ectos, I just sell them. If it's lower, salvage them with your Masters or Mystic kit, and then sell the Ectos and other components unless you need them. This will leave a bunch of materials and random items. My general rule of thumb here is to sell anything that has a value of at least 1 silver. I'll make an exception and still sell items valued for coppers if I have a lot of them, but the trading post is usually running at about 5 frames a second, so I tend to not want to hang out here too long. Also, a quick tip for the trading post. If you see a big disparity between the current sell price and current buy price, and you're not in a rush, list it for sale for just a bit under the lowest seller price. It will take longer to sell, but it's almost guaranteed and you'll get more gold out of it. And if you search for I am Evan Nashblade, you'll get a compact view of the trading post. It makes it a lot easier to see everything at a glance, but it's also a little too compact for some screen sizes. You can just type it again to disable it if you want. Now head to a merchant and dump the cheaper stuff. You can sometimes make a little more profit if you compare prices to the trading post, but it takes so much longer, and our goal here is to clean up our inventory. At this point, you may be left with items that can't be sold, might be part of a collection, or are a material you have way too much of. Things get a little fuzzier here, and I can't necessarily give you blanket rules, but here are some that I often encounter. Piles of bloodstone dust, imperial fragments, dragonite ore, and the like are ascended crafting materials. You can save them if you're into that sort of thing, but if you don't need them, you can obtain gobblers or converters that will turn them into materials you can sell. Otherwise, don't feel so bad about destroying them. Trade contracts, consume. Valueless trophies for collections I'm not doing, trash. Ornate keys, trash. Treasure hunting kits, believe it or not, trash. Remember, this is what I do with my inventory. If you need any of these items, you can hang on to them. So to recap, unpack unidentified gear, salvage everything that isn't exotic, dump anything you don't need to keep on the trading post that actually has value, check the value of exotics and salvage or sell as necessary, vendor sell the remaining junk, and save or destroy anything left over. Now that you know the general flow of things, here are a couple tips that might help simplify things even more. The accountancy waypoint in Radasum has the shortest walking distances between the trading post, bank, and merchant. This is often where I go since you can access everything so quickly. But if you're out in the wilderness and you need to get to a merchant or a bank or anything, just click the PvP button in your toolbar, then click this button to enter the PvP lobby. Once you're here, just run to this area and you'll find NPCs for the trading post, merchant, and bank. And when you're done, just open the PvP panel again and click this button to leave, and you'll be returned right back to wherever you were before you entered. Also, if you run fractals, you'll often have some fractal encryptions which require keys to open. Now, you can sell encryptions on the trading post, but I actually do think it's worth opening them. After all, the people who are buying them are going to be doing just that. They will often give you various trophies, usually in the form of manuscripts, and they pay for themselves in no time. You'll get keys from running fractals, and actually sometimes encryptions contain keys, but if you need keys, just head to the Mistlock Observatory, jump down the portal, and talk to this kitty cat. On the third tab down, they sell a deeply discounted fractal encryption key. Buy as many as you need, budget allowing of course. Then decrypt all of your encryption boxes and finally open them. You'll get some gear and materials as well as a handful of manuscript trophies with peculiar names. These are just junk with relatively high vendor value, so they'll make up for themselves in no time. Also, there is a merchant, trading post, and a bank right around the corner in this area. If it didn't take so much longer to access, this would be my go-to location instead of Radasum. But hey, it's nice having access to everything if you do need to stop here.
Well, I hope you found these tips helpful. Hopefully you'll be blowing through your inventory and making a quick buck in no time. If you did, please consider leaving a like or even subscribing. It really helps the channel here. Also, if you have any advice for your fellow gamers and a process that works better for you, leave it in the comments below. I'm sure other people will appreciate it. Otherwise, see you next time.